Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Mannions Motors with me, Joshua Mannion, where today you join me from something a little bit special. Oh, that noise! Yes! So, what is it that is getting me all hot under the collar and getting me all excited? What is it that is making that amazing V8 noise? Well, it is this 2012 Audi S5 4.2 litre V8, and it is absolutely fantastic. I'd just like to start off as well by saying a huge thank you to a good friend of mine, Matthew Drysdale, for lending me this car. He's owned it for just over a year now, and he's actually trading it in tomorrow. So I thought I'd quickly grab the keys, take it for a spin, and see what that V8 power is all about. So now we are back in the driver's seat. Let's talk some figures. 4.2 litre V8 naturally aspirated engine, producing around 350 brake horsepower and 325 pound-feet of torque. Performance figures that equates to 0 to 60 in around 5 seconds and an electronically limited top speed of 155 miles an hour. Now obviously one of the biggest reasons that you buy a V8 is purely for the noise, and well, listen to this. Oh, that is heaven! What an absolute engine though. I must add as well that this car has had an aftermarket exhaust system fitted to it, so it is a little bit throatier and a little bit noisier than your standard S5, but it is just magical. Absolutely magical. But one of my favourite things about this car is how diverse it is. Even though it's got that crazy V8, even though the average mile to gallon is less than 17 mpg, you know, with all that, you've got this gorgeous luxury interior that you sat in. These seats are fantastic. They really hug you, they hold you. The finish and the fit and finish, of this interior is second to none, like it is in any Audi. It's absolutely beautiful. Obviously, gadgets, equipment, you've got anything that you could wish for in any high-end car. You've got satellite navigation, electric memory heated seats, you've got cruise control, you know, anything you could want. And this automatic gearbox is an absolute dream. Gone are the days of when those automatic gearboxes were notchy and clunky and they'd hold onto gears for too long and they'd be up and down and left, right and centre. This is an absolute dream. You don't even notice when it changes gear, it's so slick. And if you really want to have some fun, you've got the flappy paddles on the back of the steering wheel as well. Now obviously there is a downside to having a 4.2 litre V8, and the obvious thing with that is running costs, unfortunately. I actually had this car for about a week last summer. I was in the middle of selling a car, buying a new car, and my friend Matthew said, if you want to take the S5 for a week, have that. I'm working away. I'm not going to be at home. The car's just sat on the driveway. You're welcome. So I took it, and although I thoroughly enjoyed spending a week in a 4.2 litre V8 German muscle car, what I didn't enjoy was averaging 16 miles to the gallon. That's right, 16 miles to the gallon. I actually one day on the way home from work took a long route, which takes me down long roads. It takes you down sort of dual carriageways, very slow, steady drive, and I sat with the cruise control set at 60, really took it gentle, reset the trip before I set off, and by the time I'd got home, the maximum MPG that I'd reached was 20.3 miles to the gallon. But if you can afford the car and if you know what to expect it, trust me, it is worth it, because that power and that noise. What I also find amazing about these cars now as well is that if you get one around this age with sensible average miles, this is actually a really nice example with really low miles. It's only done just over 48,000 miles since it was new. But if you get one that's done a little bit more miles, nothing crazy, in good condition, you can pick one of these up for no more than the price of a brand new Mini or a brand new Fiat 500. Literally, we're talking anywhere between 10 and 15 grand for one of these, which I think is just absolutely amazing, that you can get something with so much power and so much luxury for really a very little amount of money. I love the way as well that when you just sat gurgling away like this, I'm currently in 6th gear doing 1500 revs, 50 mile an hour, and if I want I can just 1 tap on the downshift, 2 taps on the downshift, 3 taps on the downshift, flick of the paddles. It is just so much of a grin factor car, and the fact that you can do it all in something that's so luxurious. You could drive this car around and put it in comfy cruiser mode, chill out, don't drive fast, and you wouldn't think you were driving anything other than a big diesel A5. There's nothing hard about it to drive. There's nothing that makes you feel intimidated. It's just a big, fat, cruisy car with an amazing muscle engine, and it really is, for me, it's a 10 out of 10. I really can't find a negative with it. This noise is just absolutely, it's so addictive, which is obviously an issue, because if you're wanting to drive steady and then before you know it, it's really a good job that I don't drive something like this, because I'd probably get banned. I really would. This is just... Honestly, I mean, now though, taking it down, winding it down, stopping booting it about, as I've just said, when you're driving it normal, I mean, now I am on a bumpy little town road going through where I live in Teesside, in Stockton-on-Tees, and it is gorgeous, it's quiet, there's a box shifting, lovely and smooth, the ride isn't bumpy, it's not harsh, it's firm, and it feels sporty, but it's by no means harsh. It really is a best of both worlds car, if you can afford, obviously, to put the fuel in it. When I had this car, I had it for, like I say, a week, and I didn't do any crazy driving. I didn't rag it about and drive it like a nutter all the time, because at the end of the day, it's not my car, it's a friend's car. He paid a lot of money for this, and I'm not going to abuse it. But obviously, now and then, you give it a boot, you have some fun in it. That's what it's made for. And on a general average week, I put £70 of petrol in this. That's right, 70 quid in petrol. And I only did maybe 150 miles that week. That's all I did. 70 quid. But my God, if you can afford that 70 quid, and if that doesn't bother you, then honestly, for that... Honestly, I know this video is just going to be footage of me laughing like a child with a grin from there to there, but at the end of the day, this is a muscle car. It is, it's a German muscle car. That's what it's about. So, yeah. What an impression this will leave on me. Another thing as well about this is, you say 0 to 60 times, you say 0 to 65 seconds. And I know there's going to be a lot of people watching that thinking, well, that's not that crazy. These days there's big diesel BMWs like the 335Ds and that sort of thing that are doing 0 to 60 in, 5.5 seconds and achieving 50 miles a gallon on a run. But that's not the simple point of this engine. It's a V8. It's all about torque. It's about bottom end power. It's not necessarily the 0 to 60. It's that 0 to 30. It's that initial blast. It's the sensation of the bottom end power. It just pulls and pulls and pulls like a train. And my God. And I mean, we're talking a V8 as well. V8s are normally lazy, the low rev and that sort of thing. This red line's at 7,000 RPM for a V8. That's fantastic. Do you think if I turned up home in one of these and spent all of the wedding savings that my fiance would leave me? Is it worth it? I mean, I could always live in a shed by myself, I'd have a V8 parked out the front, so that'd be a bonus. But I would definitely have to live in a shed, and I'd definitely be by myself. Can't resist putting my foot in it. Honestly, this engine is just it's a missile. That's what it is. This is like driving you imagine the comfiest, most luxurious, most refined, easy car to drive, and then just bolting a big, massive American missile onto it. 10 billion foot-pound of torque and 10 billion brake horsepower. It's just absolutely amazing. And if you've never ever had a go in anything like this, whether it's one of these, an S5, whether it be an S4, an S6, it doesn't matter what it is, try an Audi from this period. If you've got, you know, 15 grand to spend and you're looking for something fun and exciting, just look at something like this. Look at one of these. This Audi V8 engine really is. I mean, I remember watching Top Gear years ago, and I've always been a massive BMW fan. I've had a couple of BMWs myself, and I remember watching Jeremy Clarkson test the S4, which is a very similar engine to this. It's that 4.2 V8, and I remember him basically saying that it is one of the greatest engines ever produced. He was that amazed by it, and I can totally see why. Little tunnel, it's got to be done under the tunnels. That's so addictive. I've got some lads next to me in a diesel Golf that have nearly just rolled it trying to race me. The driving sources, they're now braking ahead of me because they want me to catch up with them. I find it quite amusing. Very amusing. There they are again. I'll give him a quick boot pass just to entertain him, and he's just nearly crashed doing a handbrake turn on a roundabout. Classy in Stockton. Maybe that ambulance is for the lads in the Golf. It wouldn't surprise me. So while we're out and about, I think I'll find somewhere to pull over and I'll get a little bit of footage of the exterior, because even from the outside as well, it is something to behold. It is a very, very handsome, brute looking of a car. So I'll find somewhere quiet to pull over and yeah, I'll give you a little look at the exterior. Also, I've just realised that I've been driving around in this for about the past hour and I haven't had the radio on once, because when you're in a V8, let's face it, you don't need the radio. The radio is that big V8 lump in front of you, and that's all you want to listen to all day long when you're driving one of these. Stuck in town centre traffic. It is starting to ever so slightly spit and rain right now, but as promised, I'll get you a couple of quick shots of the exterior of the car. I mean, what a good looking car. Seriously, seriously good looking motor. Obviously, it's got, as standard, the 19-inch alloys. Obviously, as it has to. V8 on the wing. The lovely brushed aluminium wing mirrors. Sorry if this footage is a little bit all over the place. I'm trying my hardest with a phone clip. And obviously you can't beat that low end V8 gurgle while it's on idle. Sounds absolutely fantastic. What a brute of a motor. Very quick look at this interior as well. As I already said earlier on, very, very well put together, beautifully finished, as Audis always are. The big centre console in the middle there. Very nice, sporty S5 dials, finished ever so different to the normal cars. Just a very, very nicely finished car. I love this in the seats, this S5 stamping. I think that's a really, really nice touch. What a motor. So I think that's going to be a wrap for today. I hope you enjoyed seeing a little bit of this Audi S5 as much as I've enjoyed driving it. I apologise if all it was 10 minutes of me shouting and screaming and getting excited like a little girl, but what else are you going to do when you're in a V8 German muscle car? So once again, thank you all very much for watching this video. I know it's a little bit longer than the last one, but it was worth it for such a gorgeous motor. As I said last time, you can check me out on Instagram, where there'll be a couple of photos of this car at Joshua Mannion. And yeah, thanks very much. Thanks again for Matthew Drysdale for lending me his beautiful motor, and I will see you all next time. Cheers.